Welcome back to my Central Virginia garden. My name is Rebecca and I'm a no-dig organic gardener in Central Virginia. Most of my bed garden is in ground, or rather built on top of the ground in a no-dig method. But sometimes, and in some cases, I do use containers for a variety of reasons. I have found that for me, growing things like carrots and leeks and potatoes do better in a pot, in a large container. But there are a couple of tricks that you need to know to do container gardening. But today I'm going to just plant some carrots for my fall garden. I planted my spring carrots early on in April, and they're long gone at this point. But now it's time to get another batch going. My garden here in Central Virginia will continue to produce until early November. The frost date is supposed to be technically the third week in October, but honestly, last year our frost date didn't come until much later in mid-November. So I'm going to go ahead and plant some carrots. I'm going to plant three kinds of carrots today: a cosmic purple, Danvers 126, which always do well for me, and the Chantenay red core, which is a little bit of a shorter carrot. So I'll show you what I'm going to do to refreshen these pots. This is a 20-gallon grow bag, and it had potatoes growing in it this spring. So potatoes are pretty hungry plants, so I'm going to go ahead and beef up this pot a bit more to give it a little bit more nutrition as we go ahead. So to this pot, I'm going to be adding regular organic granular fertilizer, and I'm going to be adding a good bit of my homemade compost. The other thing I'm going to do is cover the carrots, as you'll see later in the video, with some cardboard. This is a mixture of potting soil. I had added some of my own soil into it in the much earlier in the year. First thing I'm going to do is just mix this all up. Things growing in containers have to be fertilized. First thing I'm going to do is add in this is a regular garden tone. It's a 344 NPK fertilizer, and this is just woo, it's falling out the bottom too, isn't it? I didn't realize that was happening. I just let it out the bottom then. I have to carefully carry this back up. I'm going to mix this down in. This will slowly release over time. I will also be occasionally fertilizing this with a liquid feed once the carrots begin to grow. Next thing I'm going to do is just dump a good amount of compost in here. This is my homemade compost, so it's going to have little bits of sticks and things like that in it. Doesn't hurt a bit. This is well broken down. Because it's summertime and it's hot, I'm going to pre-moisten this. Okay, I'm just going to pre-moisten this. Now that this is soaked in a little, I'm just going to go ahead and poke a little indentation about every 2 inches. And that's where I'm going to plant these carrot seeds. It's about 2 inches apart, 1 to 2 inches apart on the carrots should do it. All right, this is an easy peasy thing to do. Let's start with the Danvers. Those are some of my faves. Carrot seeds are super teeny tiny, and they don't have to be planted very deep. I'm going to try to put basically 2 in each hole, although I will tell you sometimes that's a little challenging to see what you're doing. Sometimes a few more go in. That's okay, you'll get germination and then you can just thin them out. These red core in here too. Don't need that many. Just in the center here. Now I'm just going to lightly cover these over. Very lightly cover them. They really don't need to be covered by much. Carrots are members of the same family of plants that parsley and cilantro are in, the umbrels, because they have an umbrella-like top on them, a flower rather. Sometimes I had some that I planted this spring that really flowered. They kind of bolted too soon, and I just let the flowers stay because the pollinators really do love them. This is now going to get watered in really well. Going to keep it good and moist. That's another really important thing about germinating carrots. They can be a little tricky to germinate if they dry out. Well, they won't germinate if they dry out. So I'm giving this a nice moist coat. So I've taken some cardboard and I've moistened it, and I've pressed it down onto the soil very firm. And that is very saturated cardboard, and that is going to help maintain really good soil contact. So the secret to getting carrots to germinate is really good soil contact and moist soil contact. If you're able to do that, your carrots will germinate really successfully. Now, the other thing that you've absolutely got to do is in about 5 days, because the temperatures are quite warm now, I'm going to come out and I'm going to lift up the cardboard and check to see whether any have germinated and started to sprout. The minute you see a sprout, you've got to take that cardboard off, because you don't want your little seedlings to pop up and be deprived of light, and then they'll die. So you'll just check. Now, if I were planting these in cooler weather, like in spring, they can take like 3 weeks to germinate. But I think in the summer, they're going to be faster to germinate because it's warmer. And so I'll start checking in 5 days. That might be wishful thinking, but I will check every single day because I have actually been neglectful before, and my carrots sadly met their demise before they really got going. So that's my hot tip for planting carrots and in a container. The same method, though, in terms of covering it with a plank or with cardboard, works for in-ground planting as well. So thank you so much for watching today. I hope your garden is growing well, and I hope you're well. Take care. Bye.